Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPad Air 4th generation and see how this particular iPad holds up in 2024. Now, I will definitely tell you in the later part of this year, there are definitely some areas where I would definitely see and look and be like, there might be some areas where this, iPad could be a little bit better if you were to go and upgrade. But for the most part, I still think this thing is still worth buying, and it can be a really good, cheap iPad for a lot of people. Now, this iPad came out in 2020. So it's already about 4 years old, and when you think about it from that side, it is actually kind of interesting how good of a job this particular phone, how good of a job this iPad did at that moment, because it was a pretty big redesign coming from the iPad Air 3. So on the front of this thing, you're basically getting a 10.9-inch liquid retina IPS LCD panel. So this thing had a pretty good sized display. Apple's still kind of using this display in a lot of different products out there. So this thing, is a pretty good looking display. It doesn't really get that bright, but it still looks nice, fairly thin bezels around it, USB Type-C port on the bottom, Apple Pencil, 2 support, which is always something I love having. Standard, back, no glass or anything like that, with a single camera setup in the top left corner. And when it comes down to the exterior, I'm going to be honest, this thing does look pretty similar to what a lot of other devices pretty much look like. So when you look at any other device that's came out recently, most of the iPads that have came out, kind of look like this thing. So I think this is in and of itself another very big thing to keep in mind, because this isn't really like a super big difference. Like this isn't like a super, super bad, phone or iPad or anything like that. This thing still looks very premium. This thing still feels very premium. And I think that is in and of itself a really, really important thing to keep in mind here. So on the exterior, definitely still a big fan of this particular iPad. Now, on top of that, another very big thing is basically the software longevity. So I'm not really too sure how long this iPad is necessarily going to last. So this is going to be one of those iPads that's probably going to last for still like a couple more years. But again, I'm not 100% too sure when the exact number when this thing is going to be unsupported. But if I had to kind of guess, I would probably say this iPad still has at least like another 2 to 3 years of software updates ahead of it. It started off with iPadOS 14. Maybe it'll get like another 2 years. This thing has the same chipset as about an iPhone 12. So I would say this thing is probably going to be in the line of getting like another 2 years, hopefully 3 years, but probably iPadOS 20 is when this thing is going to end off. But from the reports that I've seen on iPadOS 18, it's a pretty big change. This iPad, didn't really get Apple Intelligence or anything like that, but you're still getting a fairly good performing iPad. And like I said, I don't really have too many things to complain about here from the, software side. And the performance of this iPad is still very good as well. You're still getting the Apple A14 Bionic chip, and you're still getting 4 gigabytes of RAM on this iPad as well. So I do think if you're going to go through and get an iPad, these things are very, very important, kind of things to have. I think these are very, very important iPads, and the performance of this thing is still very decent. Again, it's specified the same exact way as an iPhone 12. And the iPhone 12 I still think is a fairly reliable iPad. I think that thing still has a lot of power inside of it too. So when I look at something like this, I'm still actually very happy about the way this particular device has been aging the last couple of years. So overall, I think the iPad Air 4th generation is still an interesting iPad, right? It may not be the best iPad of all time, but I think it's a very good, powerful, reliable iPad. And I definitely would recommend people to buy it if you're in a pinch, if you want to save some money, or you could go for the M1 iPad Air 5, and that might be a better deal for some people. So that pretty much covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.